The night my brother graduated, our house was full of laughter, balloons, and camera flashes. A brand new car waited in the driveway with a red bow on top. Everyone cheered. Then my mom slid an envelope across the table to me. I thought it was a card. It was a rent bill. In that moment, something inside me cracked quietly. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I stood up, packed my bag, and left without a word. But I did leave a note. And that note changed everything. The house smelled like vanilla cake and cheap balloons, and everyone kept saying, "This is your night, Ethan," like it was a chant. I stood near the wall while Mom laughed too loud and Dad clapped Ethan on the back. "You did it, son," Dad said. "We're so proud of you." "Thanks, Dad," Ethan said, grinning. "I couldn't have done it without you guys." Mom turned to me and said, "Can you grab more plates?" Her voice was polite, distant. "Sure," I said. I always said sure. While I walked to the kitchen, I heard Aunt Karen whisper, "She's so mature for her age." Mom replied, "She's always been responsible." Responsible meant invisible. It meant working weekends while Ethan studied. It meant paying my own phone bill at 18. It meant never asking for rides, money, or help. "Everyone outside," Dad shouted. "We've got one more surprise." I followed them into the driveway. A silver car sat there with a red bow on the hood. Ethan froze. "No way. Is that?" "It's yours," Mom said. "For graduating." Ethan yelled and hugged them. Neighbors clapped. Phones came out. Someone said, "You deserve it." I clapped too. My hands moved on their own. My chest felt tight, but I smiled because that's what I was trained to do. Mom leaned close and said, "Wait here a second." She guided me back inside, away from the noise. The house suddenly felt quiet, like the air had been sucked out. She handed me an envelope. "We need to talk." I laughed nervously. "What's this?" Dad joined us. He wouldn't look at me. Mom said, "You're an adult now." I opened the envelope. Papers slid out. Numbers. Dates. My name typed neatly at the top. "What is this?" I asked, even though I already knew. "It's a rent agreement," Dad said. "Effective immediately." I stared at him. "Rent? You want me to pay rent?" Mom crossed her arms. "It's time you contribute." "I already do," I said. "I pay my phone. I buy my own clothes. I help with groceries." Dad said, "That's not the point." "Then what is?" My voice shook. Mom sighed. "Ethan needed encouragement. You're different. You're strong." Strong. That word hit harder than the bill. "So because I don't need help, I get charged?" I asked. "No one is charging you," Dad said. "We're teaching you responsibility." I laughed, sharp and ugly. "I've been responsible my whole life." Mom said, "Don't make this dramatic." Outside, I heard Ethan laughing next to his car. I folded the papers with trembling hands. "When did you decide this?" Dad said, "A while ago." "And you couldn't tell me before tonight?" Mom looked away. "We didn't want to ruin the celebration." I nodded. "Right. Of course." I walked to my room and shut the door. The noise outside faded. I sat on the bed and whispered, "Okay," to no one. My phone buzzed. Ethan texted, "Did you see the car?" I typed, "Yeah. Congrats." He replied, "Thanks. You okay?" I stared at the screen and said out loud, "No," then typed, "I'm fine." My hands started shaking. I pressed them into the mattress. A car for him. A bill for me. I heard Mom knock softly. "We can talk later," she said through the door. "Okay," I replied, even though my throat hurt. Dad added, "Don't be upset." I laughed quietly. "Too late," I whispered. I looked around my room. Posters. Books. A suitcase under the bed. I thought, if love costs this much, maybe I can't afford it. I lay back and stared at the ceiling, counting breaths, feeling smaller with each one. That night, I understood I was a guest here, not a daughter anymore. At all. Ever. I couldn't sleep. The words from earlier kept looping. "You're strong." He needed encouragement. I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "What about me?" I remembered my 15th birthday. Mom had said, "We'll celebrate next week." Next week never came. I remembered my college acceptance email. Dad had nodded and said, "That's nice," before asking Ethan about his game. In the kitchen the next morning, Mom said, "You're quiet." "I'm thinking," I said. Dad looked up from his coffee. "About what?" "About when I stopped being your daughter," I said. He frowned. "That's dramatic." Aunt Karen dropped by later, smiling too wide. "Your parents told me about the rent thing," she said. "It's normal." I asked, "Is it normal to give one kid a car and the other a bill?" She laughed awkwardly. "You're older. You understand." "I understand favoritism," I said. Karen sighed. "You always take things personally." I wanted to scream. Instead, I texted Lily, "Can I come over later?" She replied instantly, "Are you okay?" "No," I typed. "But I will be." At dinner, I finally said it. "Why don't I get encouragement?" Mom set down her fork. "This again?" Dad said, "You should be grateful you live here." "For how long?" I asked. "Until I pay enough." Mom said, Ethan needed support. That sentence landed like a slap. "So love is support?" I asked. "And support is optional." Dad snapped, "Don't twist our words." "I'm not," I said quietly. "I'm finally hearing them." Mom said, "You're being ungrateful." I laughed. "For what?" "Conditional love." Ethan cleared his throat. "Can we not fight?" I looked at him. "You got a car. You'll be fine." He said, "I didn't ask for this." "No," I replied. "You just accepted it." Silence followed. Heavy. Final. That night, I locked my door and sat on the floor. I cried without sound. My chest hurt. My nose burned. I pressed my fist to my mouth to stay quiet. I unfolded the rent bill again. My name looked foreign. Like it didn't belong anywhere. I pulled out my suitcase. I didn't plan to pack. I just did. A shirt. Jeans. My documents. My journal. My hands moved fast, like they knew something my heart was still catching up to. I called Lily. "Can I come tonight?" She said, "Yes." No questions. I sat on my bed and stared at a blank page. The note scared me more than leaving. I wrote slowly. "I'm not leaving because of money." I paused, breathing hard. "I'm leaving because love shouldn't feel earned." I crossed out a sentence. I rewrote it calmer. "I hope one day you understand what you taught me." No anger. No blame. Just truth. I folded the note carefully. I placed it on the kitchen table. At 5:12 a.m., I picked up my bag. I stood by the door and whispered, "Goodbye," even though no one heard. The sky was still dark when I stepped outside. My heart raced. My legs shook. But as I walked away, I felt something unfamiliar. Relief. Lily's couch smelled like laundry soap and safety. She handed me a blanket and said, "You can stay as long as you need." I whispered, "Thank you," like I didn't deserve it. The first morning, she asked, "Coffee?" I said, "I don't owe you rent." She laughed. "Good. I don't charge for kindness." I checked my bank app 3 times that day. Numbers mattered now. Still, my chest felt lighter. No one asked where I was going. No one reminded me of bills. I breathed. My phone buzzed non-stop. Mom. Dad. Missed calls stacked like guilt. Lily asked, "Are you going to answer?" "Not yet," I said. "I need quiet." By day 2, Aunt Karen left a voicemail. "This is childish," she said. "You embarrassed your parents." I deleted it. On day 3, my cousin texted, "What happened?" Another message followed. "Your note made Grandma cry." I stared at the screen. "Which part?" I typed, then erased it. Lily read my face. "They're talking," she said. "I know," I replied. "That's the point." My mom finally texted, "Come home. We can talk." I didn't respond. That silence did something. It spread. It echoed. Ethan texted late that night. I didn't know. I typed, Didn't know what? That you felt like this, he replied. I read the note. I waited. My hands shook. He wrote, I never noticed. I'm sorry. I stared at the apology. It felt real. Late. But real. I didn't want your car, I typed. I wanted fairness. I get that now, he said. On day 5, there was a knock. Lily peeked through the door. Your parents are here. My stomach dropped. I didn't invite them. They look panicked, she said softly. I opened the door. Mom's eyes were red. Dad looked angry. Then unsure. Dad said, you can't just disappear. I said, I can. Mom said, you scared us. I was scared too, I replied. Dad raised his voice. You humiliated us. I looked at him calmly. I told the truth. Mom whispered, we didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I said. And then you charged me for it. Silence stretched. Dad cleared his throat. We talked about the rent. And? I asked. Mom said, it wasn't fair. I nodded. I know. Dad frowned. You could have stayed. No, I said. I would have shrunk. Mom stepped closer. We raised you. And I raised myself too, I said. That stopped her. Dad looked around Lily's apartment. Is this where you're staying? For now, I said. Mom asked, are you coming back? I shook my head. Not like before. They left without yelling. That was new. Lily hugged me after. You were calm, she said. I was tired, I replied. Tired of begging. Later, Ethan called. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. I swallowed. That means something. The calls slowed. The messages changed. Not demands. Questions. Not anger. Regret. I realized something then. Walking away didn't punish them. It exposed them. And for the first time, that was enough. The knock came at noon. I opened the door. Mom and Dad stood there, hesitant. Their expressions weren't angry anymore, just wary. I came to talk, Dad said. I nodded. I'm listening. Mom stepped closer. We wanted to apologize. I didn't flinch. For the rent bill. For favoritism. Dad said, for everything. You're late, I said softly. Not meaningless, but late. Mom swallowed. I know. I looked at them both, calm for the first time in years. I won't return to a place where love is measured in money. Dad frowned. You think we didn't love you? I don't think, I said. I know how it felt. That's what matters. Ethan appeared behind them. Hey, he said quietly. I turned to him. Hey, I replied. He scratched his head. I get it now. I never realized. You never had to, I said. But you do now. Mom's eyes filled. We see it. And? I asked. And we're sorry, she said. I nodded. I forgive you. I'm not angry. But I can't forget. Dad's jaw tightened. So, what happens now? I keep building my life, I said. I keep boundaries. You respect that. They were silent. For once, I was in control. I wasn't pleading. I wasn't shrinking. Ethan stepped closer. I want to treat you right, he said. You can, I replied. Respect replaces entitlement. They left soon after, quiet this time. No yelling, no lectures. Just awareness. And that awareness was enough. I closed the door and exhaled. Lily popped her head in. How did it go? I set them straight, I said. No crying, no screaming. Just me choosing myself. She smiled. Proud of you. I unpacked the small apartment I had claimed. The walls were bare, but the sunlight hit just right. The floor was clean, the air fresh. I made coffee, poured it slowly, and sat by the window. For the first time in years, the house felt like mine. Not because it belonged to me, but because I belonged to myself. I called Ethan later. I feel better talking to you now, he said. Good, I said. I feel better too. Even Mom texted. We hope you're well. I am, I typed back. I finally am. Mornings became peaceful. I woke up to sunlight, not obligations. I made my own rules. Paid my own bills. Laughed without guilt. Sometimes I caught myself smiling, thinking, I walked away. And I'm alive. I kept the note I had left behind on my desk. I reread it carefully. Calm. Honest. Final. I whispered, this wasn't goodbye. It wasn't. It was my beginning. A life rebuilt slowly, one day at a time. No one dictated my worth anymore. No one decided my happiness. I felt strong. I felt free. I realized leaving didn't make me heartless. It saved me. I folded the note, placed it in my journal, and smiled. For the first time, I was truly home.